So it's Friday afternoon, weather's not too brilliant. On my way to meet some friends in far northeast Victoria. So I've got the bag on the back, can't see it but it's there. Well, I can feel it. So doing a full weekend trip. So I'll post a map up of each video's leg for each of the videos. So I'm going to make 3 to go along with this. 1 for each day, obviously. Hopefully I'll get some good footage. But the first leg, because it's a fairly boring leg, I'm just heading through Yarra Glen to Yea to I just blanked on Mansfield. So that's where I used to live last year, well, for the last 3 years up until 2021. So up through there, have a bit of a pit stop there, grab some food, fill up with petrol, although I'll probably fill up in Yarra Glen as well, just because I can't remember the exact distance to Mansfield from where I am. How did I know that was going to happen? So up through, probably straight out to the Hume from Mansfield. Considering that's wrong, it's actually 4 o'clock now. By the time I get to Mansfield it's going to be 6, by the time I've eaten, 6:30, and filled up with petrol. So I'll so what I thought I'd talk about this video is the R3 as a beginner bike. What I like about it. There's not much I don't like about it, so I'm probably not going to talk about that. Yeah, so that's what this video is going to be about, just because it's going to be a really cruisy trip, no real twisties, and no real interesting sights to see, just because I'll be taking the more direct route, because I am 4 hours behind everyone else. So they sent me a message about midday being like, oh, we've just left Melbourne, because they waited out the rain a little bit, because it was raining in the morning. I rode to work because basically what I did was I packed my bag and on the back, and brought my work stuff in the backpack, plus the stuff I didn't want to leave just sitting on my backpack. And then when I was leaving work, just chucked everything that I needed to keep with me over the weekend into the rear bag, drove home, dropped my backpack in the garage, and now we're starting filming. See, they were 4 hours ahead, so I've got a bit of catching up to do, which means I just take the highways. Was going to cut through Whitfield, but I left work about 20 minutes later than I planned, just because had a few things to send off, and got some last minute things that needed to be done that minute that got dropped on my plate at the time that I was planning to leave. Very easy things to do, but it is just a little bit annoying when you have, you know, essentially something that should have been dropped off on your plate a week ago, get dropped off when you're supposed to be at the door. Gets a bit annoying. Yeah, but enough whinging about work. That's not what I'm here to talk about. One day I'll talk about what I do for work and stuff like that, but just as one of the vlogs, because some people do like that sort of stuff. But the R3, so let's just start off with the price, and the price, its availability, and all of that, which I think are some really key factors when you're considering what's a good beginner bike and what's not, is the price of a bike and your availability of parts, just being able to get the bike in general, and so I just had something on the visor, so I thought I'd quickly tilt that up, so it probably got a bit windy. So the price, you know, all my prices I'm going to talk about are in Australian. Definitely on the cheaper side of your beginner sport bike class. Not the cheapest beginner bike you can get by any means. There is plenty of cheap beginner bikes you can get, but they come with a wide range of things that you don't get when you get the R3. Most of the time it's your reliability and power, because most Japanese beginner bikes that are cheaper than the R3 are cheaper because their engine isn't that. And I'm a big fan of the Japanese brands. I think they're reliable. There's a reason they're super popular. There's a reason, you know, they're the most popular brands to use in the WSBK. 3 of the 4 of them are in the MotoGP. They're popular, they're reliable, they're easy to get your hands on, and you know, most people, there's actually a lot of crossover parts and things like that. So I think that part the R3 really has going for it, and so does any, like your CBR 300 or your CB 300 for the naked version, your Ninja obviously, and your GSXs. They're all your big 4 Japanese. They're really good in that aspect. I've only ridden a Ninja 400 in terms of sort of the equivalent class bike as the R3, so I don't have a lot of same class experience, but I have ridden a couple of other bikes in different classes because friends have them and whatnot. Yeah, so the biggest plus for the R3, I think, is that Japanese reliability. These aren't actually made in Japan, but they're Japanese engineered, Japanese designed. You know, you can't go wrong with a Yamaha, in my opinion. So there's the big plus. Yeah, so the next sort of beginner thing I was alluding to before was the price tag, right? So they're a bit more expensive than what I paid brand new. They're more expensive by about $1.5 grand 3 months after I bought it brand new. They're sitting at about $8,000 Australian retail, so I think that translates to about 5,000 US. I think it's actually a little bit cheaper in the States because they don't have as much vehicle tax and stuff like that compared to Australia. Yeah, it's fairly cheap to insure. It's cheaper than my car, which according to the insurance company is worth $2 grand more than the R3. I don't drive an expensive car. I have no reason to drive an expensive car. I've got a tow bar on it, and it gets me from A to B. I was bit into cars a bit earlier, but they're expensive. Bikes are expensive too, but not on the same level as cars. Yeah, so the price tag is really good. You know, parts are cheap. I've had a couple of crashes on this. My mirrors cost me $25 to replace. I didn't have to replace the fairings. The crash wasn't that bad. I literally, like, the only thing that happened was the sticker came loose. I might flash a photo, who knows, probably not. You know, and because it's such a popular bike since its release in 2016, there is a lot of aftermarket stuff for the R3, considering how young, in terms of this bike has only been around for 2 generations, in terms of, you know, it's been around for 5 years, and to have as much aftermarket stuff rolling around for it and available for it is a testament to how popular and how good this bike is. You know, people want it, and people want to ride them. Yeah, so I think that's the price tag is another really good option. And when you compare it to your KTM 390, the BMW 300, it is a lot cheaper. and it's sitting at around that same price level as your Honda and Kawasaki and Suzuki equivalents. It's just started to actually rain. I'm hoping that doesn't stay for my entire trip up. Got the rain jacket in the back, but I really can't be bothered getting it out because I accidentally buried it underneath everything else. Because it was the first thing I put in, because I was like, I need to not forget that. Yeah, so that's probably my first thing that I'm really happy with. I was happy buying this brand new. And I bought it brand new at the right time. This, I've gotten offers on this as it sits now with 20,000 Ks on the odometer. Offers of $500 more, $500 less than what I paid for it brand new. And a guy I know sold a 2018 R3 for more than what I paid for mine. But I did get a sweet deal on it. I got about $500 off what it was marketed at, and $1,500 off what it sold in about 3 months time when the new generation came out. Because the reason I got it so cheap was because I bought this right as the Gen 2 R3 came out, which was your really all that happened was there's a bit of facelift on your dash and all of that. And I just remembered they changed the speed limit on this road down from 100, which is a bit of a place here. Now, one thing while I'm here, if you're a fan of bacon, you're a fan of spreads, there's a guy that sells bacon jam on this corner. So it's the corner of McIntyre Lane and I can't remember what this highway is, but out near Yering. So just look at the Liddell Airport and it's pretty much there. Bacon jam, buy it, give it a try, and just be mind blown. I used to, when I lived up in Mansfield, I'd literally, if I rode down to Melbourne, I would bring a bag purely to bring home a few jars of that. My housemate was obsessed with it. Yeah, so thought I'd plug that while I was here. But the R3 is a beginner bike, yeah, so we finished on the price tag. The really thing I love about this is the seating position isn't super aggressive. You can kind of manipulate it yourself, so you don't have to be in that full tuck position the entire time. You can sit back, like I'm almost upright, and I can comfortably manage the controls. Yeah, so that I found was is a really good introductory sports bike in the terms that you're not in that full tuck position to be comfortable on the bike, which is, so there's a few bikes where if you're sitting upright, they're sport bikes, and the R6 is like this. You can't ride in a more touring stance, which for someone who commutes on bikes, has done some big trips before, this was a godsend. Like if I'd been riding an R6 on some of those trips, I would have hated it. Like even on this trip, one of the mates I'm riding with is on Daytona, and I'm not sure how he's going to go in terms of comfortableness, and I guess because we're riding with a few older guys, we'll probably be taking regular breaks anyway, so we'll probably be fine. Yeah, so the seating position is really ergonomic. You can go super aggressive. If you really want to, you can get clip-ons and go even more aggressive. Yeah, so I might finish cut here, and I'll return to you after I filled up with some petrol in Yarra Glen.